with the great, undisputed life group champion of them all, Henry Maldonado Jr., Vince Mercandetti. I mean, he's out.
He's
He's
out of
out,
here.
guys. He's serving his suspension right now. You know, it came down from unlawful bashing of other people's teams. So we got Vince out of here. I'm here. What an honor to be on Dong City. Roberto producing this fantastic show. It is an honor for me, Henry, to be on here. So, without any further ado, sir, how the hell are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Nice fresh face for the podcast. Vince is still on vacation. I guess we authorized it, didn't realize. But what I believe really happened is Rob said he was suspended for PED usage. So who knows? I think that's what's going on with Vince, but we'll carry on. Vince will be back next week. In the interim, we have the Audible host, Matt. Well, one half of the Audible host, Matt, with us. Matt, how's your day going, baby?
Oh man, I'm fired up today, man. It's been one of those days. It's a Monday. You know, you always want to avoid those Monday podcasts because Monday's usually the shittiest day you could get at work.
I disagree. I love Mondays. And I knew this was going to be good. For those who don't know, me and Matt, we speak almost every day. And I already knew this was going to be a good one. So welcome to the show, buddy. Let's see, guys. Like Matt said, this is show number 40, 4040. I can't believe we made it this far. This is exciting. We have a few more shows in the pipeline. We're going to be coming every 2 weeks. But right now, let's get to it. 30 years of experience. Kim Eng has signed a deal to become the Marlins general manager, first female general manager. This woman has 30 years of experience under her belt. Matt, what do you think about this hire?
I absolutely love it. I love how she just took that sledgehammer and that brick wall that was up there and just knocked that motherfucker right down. Just, I'm here, I'm qualified, and it's nice to see qualified people getting positions that they deserve. Absolutely earned this, was instrumental in a lot of Yankees championship building teams. Well, the 2009 champion team, of course. And kudos to Jeter for really thinking out. Oh, I don't want to say thinking outside the box, but not fulfilling the good old boy parameters for for this hire. I think Kim's going to be excellent at this position. I'm really looking forward to see how she constructs this roster and her ideas and vision.
Yeah, I'm excited about this hire. I mean, it would take Derek Jeter. She has a long history with Derek Jeter going back to her days with the Yankees. I was super excited for this hire. I actually think this was a hire that was long awaited. This woman has been in the game for the longest. If there was a woman who was going to do it, it was her, and it should have been done a long time ago. She is a New York City public school product, like myself. She actually wrote her college thesis on Title IX, the 1972 federal law for women's access to sports. I mean, come on, it can't get any better than that. She did an internship with the White Sox. She moved to the American League front office in '97, where she later became an assistant for Brian Cashman. She put together that team. She was around some amazing people: Damon Oppenheimer, Brian Cashman, Stick Michael. She's been around some amazing people. She left to go with the Dodgers, and I think she's been with the Dodgers ever since. And yeah, she's a hire for women. I think this is a great move for MLB. I think this is something that can be they can push this, they can market this positively to young women, to young men, minority community. This is a wonderful hire. I think Derek Jeter and his staff knocked it out the ballpark, pun intended. Derek Jeter caught a lot of flack, man, when he went with the Marlins and he made some controversial fires and he shook things up like you're supposed to do. And he got a lot of help mainly because he's Derek Jeter. But the Marlins look good last year. They have a great collection of talent. Don Mattingly just coming off his Manager of the Year award. There's a lot of things going smooth in Miami, man.
Yeah, I like the talent on the team. I kind of like how they're putting things together. I'll be more interested to see if she's going to stick with this roster. If some of the guys that are currently on there, are they going to stay there? I know they have. I believe. Do they have both of the? Is it Victor Victor? Is that the last name?
I think so. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she's going to stick with those prospects or move. Like, I'm just interested in the philosophy. Is it going to be on base? Is it going to be athletic based? Like, how are they going to choose these players that one that they'll draft and how interactive they are or active they are on the international market? So I'm excited for the Marlins in a very winnable division. I don't think that gets talked about enough.
Yeah.
All those teams in the East have a lot of flaws, and the Marlins kind of had life on. They kind of died later in the season, but they showed a lot of life early in the season once they got over that COVID situation.
Yeah, they were good. I mean, Mattingly has been the perfect manager there. I thought he'd run his course there, but he showed otherwise. They're a pretty exciting, fun club. Like you said, they had the COVID outbreak. Look, they had no expectations going in. Everyone picked them to finish last. They were a laughing stock last year. They were the Baltimore O's of the NL, and they turned it around in the blink of an eye. And kudos to Derek Jeter and his staff and Don Mattingly over there. Those guys are doing something right, and I look forward to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bright future in that Miami for that Miami franchise.
Now, the flip side of executives is our friend, your side of town, Theo Epstein. What went wrong, Matt?
Well, where do you want to begin? We could talk about the free agent contract, and I know Cub fans will die on that hill for Jason Hayward. You win a World Series, is one enough for that core? I don't know. Those, the LCS games that they were a part of, they had a pretty successful run. I'm surprised Theo didn't give it the full 10 years. It was only 9, for better or for worse. He turned around a Cubs franchise that was a complete mess. But then you take a look at the prospects that he traded: Dylan Cease, who's still kind of a question mark, and then Eloy Jimenez. Cub fans will kind of compare him to Kyle Schwarber, but I'd rather have Eloy, of course, on the south side.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. And really, it's just never being able to develop any pitching. That's what killed the Cubs. They couldn't develop pitching. And I think Theo is a man that has higher aspirations in baseball. And I know I was kind of thinking this. I would not be shocked if Theo leaves baseball entirely. He seems to me like a very well spoken man, very well educated, who wants to do something a little bit more. So don't be shocked, I think, if you see Theo Epstein in the political landscape of this country. I just think
Hmm.
that maybe he's just baseball ran its course for him and he has just bigger aspirations, and the Cubs wanted to go in a different direction themselves.
That's an interesting take. I personally love Theo Epstein. I think we've seen his hands touch things and they turn into magic, and he is the curse breaker. He did it in Boston. He did it with the Cubs. To your point, they had a great core of guys. And should they have won more? Maybe. But he did do the thing that no one could do for 100 plus years. And he brought a title to Chicago. And I think everything that he's been through, everything that they've paid for, it's well worth it. Everyone they traded away, Gleyber Torres, anyone else that they trade, it was worth it. They got that one ring in 2016, will forever live in MLB lore as when, the curse was broken. You know, Poor Steve Bartman can be left alone now. you know,
Man,
Moises,
that's rough.
Alou threw him under the bus, but I think that Theo was a success there. He won a title. He brought a quirky manager with him, and Joe Madden. Joe Madden's stick kind of gets old fast. But he did some moves, man. He acquired Kyle Hendricks, Anthony Rizzo, drafted Almara. He drafted Chris Bryant, signed Gleyber Torres as an amateur free agent, traded for Chapman, traded for Jake Arrieta, signed Lester, signed Zober. I mean, he had some good stuff under there. So I think Theo in Chicago was a success. There were some rumblings of him, getting tired and them getting tired of him at the end of the season, which I really didn't think had legs, but apparently it did. So his longtime friend and college roommate, I believe, Jed Hoyer, takes over. And in fact, he got a 5-year extension just today.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think two things for Theo. I think he either leaves baseball for 1 year, three things rather. He either leaves baseball for 1 year and see what's around next year. I think he takes that Mets job. Steve Cohen may convince him because that there's no place set up for him more than the Mets. I think Theo Epstein and the Mets are perfect marriage right now. I think that would be the best place for him. Or I can see something completely different. I can see Theo working for MLB, trying to address some of the changes that they need. Change of pace, getting younger, marketing. That's a guy that can address those needs. On the bigger scale, not just for one team, but for baseball as a whole. So I think that's what Theo does with the rest of his career.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doors to stop Theo from doing whatever he wants. I absolutely love the Mets correlation because it works. The Mets kind of struggled. Obviously, they last won the World Series, I believe, in '85, if I remember my career is correct, my
86.
years. '86. So, it's been roughly 34 years for the Mets. So I don't mind them there. I think the Mets are a good fit. They got a lot of young talent, but I do think they need to overhaul some positions. Pitching staff, obviously, I don't think Noah Syndergaard's going to be that guy that you can pencil in as a number two. So there's work for Theo to do there if he wants it, and turning the Red Sox into perennial World Series contenders, the Cubs into perennial World Series contenders, and then if he does it to the Mets, I mean, what the hell else can you say about the guy?
Look, he's already a Hall of Fame executive. Like you said, he did it in Boston. He beat the big bad wolf of the Yankees. He got the Cubs over the biggest hump in baseball history, probably. And look, him going to the Mets and building a franchise there that could win a title and take the notoriety away from the Yankees. I mean, there's something to that, And I think if there was a guy that could do it, it's definitely Theo. And I could see that ownership group and Sandy Alderson, who I think is the president now, but I think he's in an interim capacity where he probably is going to be a consultant. I like the combination of Sandy Alderson and Theo Epstein. I think they know what they're doing. They would be really good together.
Yeah, it fits like a glove on my end. Another team that I wouldn't mind seeing Theo go to, and that would be the Angels. I don't think the Angels would give him the president job, but you talk about a franchise being able, you starting off with Anthony Rendon and Mike Trout, and you turn that pitching staff into something. It also gives you, a larger standing, especially going against the Dodgers in that market.
I could see it. That makes a lot of sense. I could definitely see that as well. So yeah, Cubs fans, Theo Epstein, let us know what you think. 9 years, and he moves on to greener pastures. So, like I said, Jed Hoyer got that extension. Now let's move on to what I've been ragging you about for about a week: the MVP race. Now, in the AL, Jose Abreu got it. He didn't deserve it.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
He did
Yes,
not deserve it.
that man deserved it. He earned it. How many statistical categories does he need to be top five in? All of them? I mean, because he almost was top five in almost every one of them and all the important
They
ones.
got it wrong again. They got it.
No,
The underrated superstar who never gets any love got jerked again. Jose Ramirez was the MVP.
you,
You
you,
thought I
you
was going to
know,
say DJ LeMahieu, didn't you?
I thought you might have went Luke Voigt on me. I was
No,
preparing
no,
for the
no,
Luke Voigt one. Okay, Vince would have lost his shit.
no, not Luke Voigt.
Just- I take a look at Jose Ramirez, and I don't have an issue if Jose Ramirez would have won it. But let's take a look at the rosters and the expectations. I mean, everyone thought Cleveland going into it was going to be really good. It felt like Jose Abreu, the real MVP, had to carry a lot of youngsters to that record. His veteran presence, his leadership. You take Jose Abreu off the White Sox, they're not. Let's take both Jose's off their teams respectively. There is no way Jose Ramirez has a bigger impact on the Cleveland baseball team than Jose Abreu does on the Chicago White
Yes,
Sox.
he does because he plays outstanding defense to boot.
Jose Abreu plays a really underrated first base. You are absolutely correct.
Jose Abreu is trash at first base. You lucky Vince isn't here because me and Vince get into the value of a first baseman. He overvalues first baseman. But look, Jose Abreu definitely was not the MVP, but he's who the writers chose, so we got to respect it. Over in the NL, we have Marcelo Osuna. Oops, I'm sorry, Freddie Freeman, who probably got it because of Marcelo Osuna. But Freddie Freeman was just killing things all year. That's an excellent defensive first baseman, by the way.
I love watching Freddie play. I very underrated.
Soon to be Hall of Fame, Freddie Freeman, I should add.
Well, if so, I don't have as big of an issue. I think in the NL, like the AL, I think you could have made some pretty good arguments. I mean, Nelson Cruz wasn't that far off in the AL either, so there are some pretty strong contenders in the AL. NL, I'm trying to think. We had Freddie Freeman, and who else had a
DJ
big
LeMahieu
year?
were the three finalists. Oh, and the NL, I forgot who the three finalists were. But I mean, it was pretty much Freddie Freeman's for since about the halfway point. He was just killing it.
Yeah, the only other names I could think of was I know Mookie Betts had a really nice year with the Dodgers, but that lineup was just
I think
stacked.
Mookie was one of the three finalists, and I can't recall who the third one is.
Uh, um,
If only we had a
oh,
producer.
yeah,
Yeah, but I would have been okay with Mookie too. But I think Freddie Freeman is definitely the cream of the crop this year, and he showed it. Uh, Soto, Juan Soto, that's who it was. Thank you, Jake. Yeah, Juan Soto, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. I think they got this one right though.
yeah. For Freddie as an all-around baseball player, well, Manny Machado. Jake saying Manny Machado was the third,
Okay.
which also not a bad pick. But I would have went Fernando Tatis Jr. number two. My order would have been Freeman, Tatis Jr., and then
See,
Mookie Betts.
Tatis got all the camera views. He got the highlights. He got all the attention. Machado was carrying that team all year.
Uh, you know, I'm not sure if I want to give Manny Machado any love.
I like Manny Machado is still underrated. Giant contract or not.
Yeah, I just got a feeling he's going to age terribly there. But
Oh,
no,
big time. He's gonna age. He's got to move. He can't stay on third base. Those knees
yeah,
aren't gonna last.
yeah, but I think we all agree. I mean, Freddie Freeman was just head and shoulders above everyone else with his offensive output, and that glove is magical. Now, I do think first basemen have value, and I think that's why we saw two MVP winners at that position. Now, I think Freddie Freeman's probably the best defensive first baseman in baseball. I mean, Matt Olson can flash some leather, but I like Freddie
Say
Freeman
Matt
better.
Olson. Me and my Matt and Matt crushes in Oakland. You
Oh,
know who is
absolutely.
who is not a defensive first baseman? Luke Voigt. He sucks.
I just keep on seeing trade proposals for Luke Voigt.
Look, I'm with it. I am on board. I think the Yankees should capitalize. This kid is a middle of the order bat. He's at league minimum and he has 5 years of arbitration left. You capitalize on that now. If we didn't have that kind of hitter in our lineup, fine. He's redundant to the Yankees. Get rid of him now, maximize that value, and get a starting pitcher in return, or a starting shortstop that plays for Cleveland. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys don't want Lindor. I mean,
I would love Lindor. I don't think the Yankees are gonna get Lindor. I think the realistic play for the Yankees is Alderton Simmons. I think Simmons
I like
plays
that.
shortstop. DJ plays second. DJ plays first. Void is traded, and Glaber goes back to second. I think
Yeah,
that's more realistic.
yeah, and Voigt will definitely get you an arm for that rotation to extend it further.
I like Void a lot. I just think his bat is, like I said, redundant in our lineup. That all or nothing bat. You know, big numbers. Big power guy, nice fun guy, but you got to trade him while you can. Now let's go to the Cy Young Award. We had Shane Bieber who won unanimously at that. I don't think anyone questioned that one. Dude, from start to finish, was just going off. If you owned him in fantasy, you probably rode him to a chip. If you were a fan of his, you watched something magical every 5 days. That kid was on, and he was on every single start.
I saw him pitch against the White Sox every single time, and it was frustrating every single start. If you're going to swing at a lot of pitches, this is the wrong guy to go against because his stuff is filthy from top to bottom. And it's not like he throws a lot of pitches outside the strike zone. I mean, he can because you're going to chase it, but I mean, he pounds the strike zone too, and his stuff is just it's up there. Um, I'm trying to think of other AL candidates for the Cy Young Award winner, but I think they got it right. I don't think there's anybody really close to Bieber.
He was unanimous, and I think that was the right pick. The kid throws strikes, so you have to swing, and his stuff is so nasty. But he's gonna pound you all day because he's throwing strikes. He's throwing in the zone, so there's nothing you can do about that. And they got it right. And like I said, it was unanimous. Now NL was a little more tricky. I think a lot of people expected Jacob Degrom to get that three-peat. Um, I wasn't one of them just because it's so hard to do. But I think Jacob Degrom's what he's doing in these last 3 to 4 years has been super, super special. It's like Pedro special, Tim Lincecum's prime special. It's Johan Santana esque. It's that small, few years where he just goes off and he's doing it. He did not get the NL Cy Young. Trevor Bauer got it.
I mean, I think it's hard to argue with Bauer's numbers. I mean, the peripherals for Bauer were otherworldly. He was so good for so long for a 60 game season. I mean, DeGrom's consistently great. And I think you kind of saw it with the Braves rotation too. It's just like, okay, well, which Braves pitcher we're going to give it to this year? And they would change it up just because that rotation was so good that you could have made a case for every one of them. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the writers may be getting Jacob DeGrom fatigue and they saw this new sexy Trevor Bauer, with the
So
numbers, and that's who they went with.
I wasn't a fan of Jacob DeGrom winning it last year. Um, I actually might have given the award to you, Darvish, this year. I thought you was going to get it. He had a hell of a year last year, and this year he's showing that that contract is not a fluke so far. He didn't get it, but I'm not upset about the pick. I think any one of the three who would have won would have been okay. Bauer winning it, he Bauer's a quirky dude, man. He trolls people. He's antagonizing fan bases on Twitter. I think he ultimately goes somewhere where the media lights aren't as bright because that shit gets old fast, man. Would I love him? Yes. Do I think he would melt under the New York pressure. I think once the fans turn on you, and you see him now, he goes back at fans and he says some vile shit. That doesn't play in New York. That gets tired fast. Ask Randy Johnson.
Yeah, Bauer would struggle, I think, in LA, even to a certain extent, in maybe a city like Boston. Chicago would be an interesting place for him. I know the Cubs and White Sox have kind of been rumored. I don't think he ends up with either Chicago team. I just think that's too far fetched. But yeah, New York, I don't see that going well at all. The funny thing about Darvish, and I thought this was one of the more underrated things that may have happened to him all year. You I think you saw the confidence increase so much when that Houston Astro investigation and punishment came out
The
because
what? The punishment? What punishment?
well, you're right, the lack thereof. But just having that confidence renewed, like, hey, you know what? I'm not a shitty pitcher. They just knew by cheating what I was throwing. So I think that helped you out a lot. And throwing a curveball, I mean, his curveballs, the stats on his curveball were just insane. He throws, I think, eight, nine different types of pitches, but he really mixes up the curveball. And throwing that more for strikes really helped him out and really made a lot of hitters struggle.
Yu Darvish is a pitcher. He's the definition of a pitcher. He's going to throw almost any pitch in any count. He locates well. He changes speeds well, left to right, north south. I mean, he's a very good pitcher. He's gonna deserve his money. I would have liked to see him get more votes, but again, I'm not mad at Trevor Bauer. I just think Trevor Bauer is going to be. I don't want to call him one and done. The kid's got crazy talent. I just don't see him repeating the season over and over and over the course of like say 5 years. You said you don't see him in LA. I see him in LA, but the Angels. I don't see him with the Dodgers. That shit gets old quick over there too. But I can see him with the Angels.
I wonder how that payroll would work though with having Rendon. I know Pujols is still going to be on the books. They just signed Trout to that massive extension, and then having to fit Bauer in there with. I don't think the locker room's an issue, but I do worry about the financial flexibility because they need more than just one arm. I mean, Bauer would be a great addition for this team, but they need like Bauer and more, like a Charlie Morton to go with it for them to be contenders in that Western division.
Yeah, I totally agree. They definitely need more than one arm. I don't think money should be an issue. The minute they gave Rendon that contract, all bets were off. And you're saying we're going for it. We're putting Trout. We're giving Trout some talent to play with. You got Otani. You got Trout. You that lineup is sick. The lineup can hit. They can hit. They can score. They just can't pitch. And that was kind of the mo going into last offseason. And here we are again with the same mo. They got to get pitching, and I don't think Artie is the time for him to hold those purse strings. I think Pujols has 2 more years left on that contract.
It sounds about right, but I know they're the most expensive years.
Yeah, they may have to eat that or work something out with him, or what was it the Yankees did with A Rod? They made him a special advisor, and they got rid of the money on the books, but ended up paying him that as a salary, so it's not MLB baseball on the field money. So they'll work something out like that, but if you're the Angels, you got to go for it and you got to buy some arms. You definitely can't build them. You got to buy them.
Agreed. Yeah, it takes too long to develop a pitcher, and even when you do develop the pitcher, there's no guarantee that that pitcher is going to be with you when you're ready to win in the win now mode.
Yeah. And in the comment section, Jake is asking, what do we think about the Arenado rumors?
Not much.
I'm not touching that. Everyone knows how I feel about him.
I mean, what does it benefit the Dodgers? Justin Turner's a better player, in my opinion. I think Justin Turner, even though he's older, you may have better years from Justin Turner in the first couple years of the contract. Arenado plays great defense. Let's not kid ourselves. He could fit in that lineup. It would be fine, but I don't see the need to spend the money. You got to figure out this Gavin Lux and Corey Seager piece because that's the big one. Are you keeping Lux or are you moving Lux? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, and I know they didn't want to do it, but they had a deal ready to go for Lindor.
Yeah.
All they had to do was throw in Lux, and they were like, "No, no, Lux is staying."
I don't blame them. That would have been a big overpay, though.
Yeah, it would have been. And if you think Lux is at that level of Lindor, just younger and needs seasoning, why would you do it? So
I
to
just
me,
don't see a team willing to take on that Arenado money. When you look at his splits, the guy is day and night. I don't think I would go as far as saying I think Justin Turner's a better player. I don't know. You may have gone farther, but I get what you're saying. I think the chemistry that Justin Turner brings to the Dodgers would be very different with an Arenado there. And I don't see a team picking up that contract. That contract is disgusting for a guy that hits like 240, 250 on the road. He is just not the same player as he is at home. And I've been saying this for years. He's a all otherworldly defender. The guy is all-time defender. You're not going to see a better defender than him in our lifetime. The guy is amazing defense. He's a very good hitter. He is not that elite hitter that those numbers show because his splits are ridiculous.
yeah, and this may be a hot take for me, but there's about 10 third basemen I would take before Arenado in currently in MLB. I mean, and I could go through the list, but I'm not going to because I mean, one plays for the White Sox and Yohan Moncada.
I
My
don't know
God,
that I will go that far, but
I think Moncada's pretty underrated, but we'll have to see. I mean, he has a lot of proving to do. I mean, he needs to get back to 2019 Moncada, not 2020 Moncada with COVID.
I am very happy with my Gio Urshela, who is finally getting some respect. Almost got the Gold Glove this year, by the way. I'm very happy with my third baseman. Leave my little dude alone. I don't want no part of Arenado. I think a team that's going to go over there and spend that 20 plus million a year to grab him is just, they're fools. It's fool's gold. His value is to Colorado and Colorado only with that contract.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets do it. If they can't get a package for Lindor, I think Arenado just for the name.
I would love that because it would give me a reason to troll my little brother Met fans all day. I would troll them forever if they got Arenado. Arenado to the Mets is a Will Pons esque Met move. So I'm going to give them the benefit of that. I don't think they do that under Cohen. You know, under the Will Pons, maybe that's definitely a move, but I don't think Cohen's going to do that. Cohen seems like a fun dude, man.
Yeah, I would be surprised. I think, and a lot of people are throwing this out there. I think KB will get moved before Arenado if everything.
Agreed. Oh, where'd you go, Matt? Oh, I think Matt is his internet is frozen. There you go, Matt.
Yep, I'm sorry about that. I'm back. I was going to say, I think KB to Washington makes a lot of sense here. KB Washington, I like that move. Arenado, I think he stays with the Rockies.
I like KB. I think whoever picks up Chris Bryant is going to get him at a bit of a value. The Cubs did him dirty, man. Contract wise, the Cubs did that man. So what is it? 8 total years he's going to be on that team.
Yeah, 8 years.
They stole 2 years of free agency from him. I don't see a way in hell he goes back there. He's going to get moved. He may not get what they think he can get, but I think he is a great candidate for a bounce back year. And I'm a big Chris Bryant fan, extremely versatile, one of the better third basemen in the game. I like Chris Bryant. We did mention Steve Cohen. He said something on Twitter the other day that I absolutely loved. I like my owners interactive. I like the Mark Cubans of the world. Give me those kind of dudes that are going to interact with fans and make things fun. Somebody was writing him about Bobby Bonilla, and he tweeted something like, "Hey, let's make a whole day out of it and have him on the field and get a big giant check and have him run around the bed." I love it. I absolutely love it. You want your owner to do that. In fact, I think they should embrace it and actually move forward with that idea. Make July 1st Bobby Bonilla Day officially at City Field. Get the big check. Have fun with it. Let the fans do have fun with it, and just go with that idea.
Hell yeah, man. Baseball feels too buttoned up as it is. And like, a lot of people don't embrace, the mistakes. Like Bill Buckner's revered for it in Boston history. And it's just like, you know what? Have fun with the shit. Baseball's a game of failure, but let's make it fun. Let's have fun with it. Let's stop taking this shit so serious all the time. And I know people will come out with their unspoken ruled Bible passages. Thou shalt not hit a 3-0 homer with the bases loaded when up by six. So all that shit, whatever, man. Baseball needs some personality, and I can't think of a better group of players that are in here right now to pair with an owner that's willing to do something like this. And guess what? If Steve Cohen's out there having fun, it's going to attract better players.
Yeah,
More players are going to want to go there.
one of the reasons that I thought that the ownership of A Rod and J Lo should have gotten it was because I think they bring a level of pop culture, and I think they bring a level of celebrity to the team that can take the pressure off of the players. No matter what, A Rod and J Lo go to City Field, cameras are on A Rod and J Lo. Now, if Steve Cohen's going to be doing this and he's going to have fun with fans and he's going to be interactive and he's going to be a marketing genius, go for it. Then you got the right guy. But I think that they needed a culture change, and I think they got it. And so far, I think they do have the right guy.
Yeah, I mean, how much more? Like, I asked this question a long time ago to you and a couple of other people. How many Mets fans are also Jets fans? Tying in the football aspect of it, and I know there's quite a few of them. The amount of torture that these people endure, and then you throw on the Knicks fandom onto that. I hope the Mets get, yeah, you can take that finger and put it somewhere else.
Take your little Nick shot somewhere else.
I'll save those for a couple of other people like Jacob Anthony Moses
There
there.
you go.
But no, I mean, I hope the Mets turn this around. I think baseball is more fun when the big city teams are really good because those are like the natural rivalries with the two baseball teams in one city. Both when the Mets and Yankees are good, it's a lot of fun. When the White Sox and Cubs are good in Chicago, it's a lot of fun. And when you have the Dodgers and Angels that are really good, it's a lot of fun. It's just good for baseball for these big teams to be good. And I think it would do baseball a lot of good if the Mets became that upper echelon East franchise.
Look, I always say it. I say it in our private chats. I say it in the group. I say it wherever I talk. When the Mets and the Yankees are both winning and both having fun, this city is like nothing else. The city is buzzing. You see orange and blue on one side. You see dark navy and white on the other. You see pinstripes. You see all kind of crazy shit. The city is buzzing when both teams are popping, and I think we're gonna have a few years where we might see that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And kind of tying back to the Cubs, it's kind of sad to see the Cubs starting to go through that mini teardown or maybe a full teardown as the White Sox are ascending because the White Sox were bad when the Cubs were really good. So we missed that window for our Chicago sports.
Yeah, I'm. You mentioned that. I'm interested to see what the Cubs do if they really go full retool and start trading some of these core guys instead of signing them or what. I know you have that little smirk. I'm sure you would love that. You'd love to see that, but I think the Cubs have to figure it out. You don't sign Jed Hoyer for 5 years if you're gonna rebuild.
I mean, it depends on what they do. I think the Mets kind of have some of the pieces already to the puzzle. I love Jeff McNeil. I love Dom Smith. I love Pete Alonso. I mean, even Conforto. A lot of people like Michael Conforto. I'm forgetting the other guy that Sean Connor Flannery. Oh, Brandon Nemo.
Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah, Nemo. But yeah, I mean,
Look, Sean is a really good baseball mind, except when it comes to Met players or Yankee players, for that matter.
that's true. I mean, I wouldn't trust a Mets fan opinion
I
on a
would
Yankee
listen to
player.
Sean on anything except Yankee and Mets. Those he overrates one and he will take every opportunity to shit on the others.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, though, like the Mets are kind of there. The Yankees are there. I mean, the Yankees just need to get better. I think with the starting rotation and figure out why the fuck you guys keep on getting hurt by running around the outfield and swinging a baseball bat. I mean, that doesn't compute to me. But the
You're gonna need a
Cubs,
manager too,
oh yeah, well, I mean, you guys have a special segment dedicated to it. That's all that that needs.
and somebody made it this week. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Um, but the Cubs, I don't know how you turn around because Quintana's a free agent. John Lester, they optioned him out. They didn't pick up that option, so he's hitting the free agent market. So really, you're starting with a rotation of Hendricks and Darvish. Not the worst thing in the world to do. You can find a 3, 4, and 5 out there, but the bullpen's been a mess. It's been a mess for almost the entire tenure of Theo. That's why they had to trade Torres. So then you take a
I
look
agree.
at, and then you take a look at guys like Bryant getting traded. If they move off of Baez, that's going to be rough. Kyle Schwarber's kind of been that player. Alberto Almora Jr. I mean, I'll be shocked if a Cub fan sticks up for him because he's had opportunities and he can't hit. As a defensive player, he's one of the
Yeah,
better ones out there, but he cannot hit. So then you're stuck with Wilson Contreras. Who's this team building around? And that's the biggest question mark for the Cubs. So out of the cities that are ready to go, maybe I'd put the Yankees and Mets, New York ready to go, and slightly behind. It depends what the Angels do. But I like LA's matchup, and I got to put Chicago third. I just think the Cubs are too far away at this point.
yeah, I agree. I'll take New York one, then LA because the Angels are like a constant disappointment. Every year they disappoint us, and like you said, the Mets. I mean, the Cubs and the White Sox. They're always kind of like one's good, one's bad, one's good, one's bad. So, and I think the White Sox definitely stole Chicago this season. You guys were fun and exciting. I've been saying it all year. So you mentioned some of the young guys, the Cubs, Javi Baez. So we've been talking about shortstop free agents for the last couple of weeks on Donk City, and we left out Javi Baez, who will be joining the Trevor Stories, the Carlos Correa, the Lindor, the Seeger. So that shortstop class next year is just super loaded. We're gonna see a lot of money given out to shortstops.
Yeah, personally, if you need one, just wait a year. That's why I think people may be jumping the gun, giving up a huge trade package for Lindor.
I
Why do
agree.
it? Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen some of those proposals, and I'm thinking, why? It's not like you're giving up for Lindor and you have him for a couple seasons. You have him for one season. He's going to make $20+ million in that one season. So you're giving up talent, you're paying money, and you got to maybe sign him to a 1 year deal because if he's smart, he's going to say, no, I'm testing the waters. I want my 7 to 10 year deal.
yeah,
So
and
yeah, some of those trade proposals to me are just absurd and just overvalued.
yeah, and I don't know where we even rank Lindor. I know a lot of people will say he's the best shortstop in the game, and I'm not. I'm not here to dispute that, but I don't think there's a precipitous drop off from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. I think you take the top 5 shortstops. Obviously, Lindor is the best out of the bunch. I'm not. I have no issue with that. But I mean, I like Trevor's story, but the Colorado thing scares me. So maybe he's not up there. I think Carlos Correa, when healthy, he should probably move to third base. I don't think he's a shortstop. And then you take a look at Corey Seager, who I think sneaky, very sneaky, might be one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball, but his problem is injuries as well.
Yep.
So I guess just by attrition, Lindor's better.
Yeah, I think Lindor is a more consistent of them all. If I had to rank them, I'd probably go Lindor, Story, but like you said, he has the Colorado question mark. I'd go Lindor, Story, Seager, a fully healthy Seager, maybe two, but I go Lindor, Story, Seager, Correa, then Baez in that order, probably. But going back to the Mets, I mentioned this to I think Joey. We were texting the other day. If I'm Steve Cohen and I really want to throw my money around and I want to stand on the wallet and take out my dong and say I'm here, I'm signing Lindor and Correa next year. I'm putting one at short, I'm putting one at third base, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I would do if I was Steve Cohen.
They need both. They need a shortstop. They need a third baseman. I think for them, I've seen a lot of George Springer to Mets connections, and
I've been saying that.
I don't like that move for the Mets. for a couple of different reasons. One, he's 31 years old. They did some sort of breakdown of garbage can bangs with Springer's numbers, and I think he benefited the second most off of that. Now he
Who
does
was one?
have Altuve, so there you go. I know you would love that one, but I think Springer is a guy that he has a lot of tools, but he's a right fielder in the future. I don't think he's going to be able to play center field long term. And I don't know if Conforto or Nimmo, you trust them in center field.
Not Conforto.
Once,
Definitely not Conforto.
yeah, so I mean, you're kind of stuck with Springer, being playing right field. I mean, it's not a bad position.
I only connect Springer to the Mets because they've needed a center fielder, and Springer is a good one. I do think whatever contract he gets on the back end of it, it probably won't be pretty, but I think they need that now.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I'll be interested to see what teams are involved in Springer. Um, One of the sneaky teams I think could be the White Sox and on Springer, but then it goes into the point where you talk about the lineup for the Yankees being redundant with Voit. I think the White Sox lineup becomes redundant with Springer. That's why they,
Yeah.
signed or traded for Nomar Mazara. So I think the Springer storylines, who's in on it? Are the Mets going to overpay for JT Realmuto and George Springer? That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, we're excited here at Donk City, looking forward to I guess the virtual winter meetings. But once those free agent dominoes start, they just keep going and it keeps us going until spring training at least. Hopefully we do have a spring training. Hopefully we have a damn president. It's still unresolved at this point.
Well, they have started the transition process,
Did they?
Henry.
Did they?
Yes, they did. Michigan officially certified its votes, as did Georgia on Friday. It's basically over with. There's no path to victory, much like there's no path to victory for the 49ers winning the Super Bowl.
Did did the administration start the process or
Yeah, they filed the paperwork.
okay, well, okay, maybe we have some normalcy to anyway, that's a good thing. We have vaccines, we have transition of powers a month after the election. We're going somewhere in this country.
I'll be the guinea pig for the vaccine since I'm a healthcare worker, and I'll let you know how it goes.
I love you, Rob. Rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, Rob, it's been good. I trust Henry. If you turn into a zombie, Henry, you got to take care of business.
I got Rob knows, man. I got you, baby. I have a bat with his name all over.
Man, I'm hoping that the vaccine turns me into a superhero. The hell with the zombie shit.
It's going to turn you into something. I don't know about a superhero. I think we could have a whole podcast on these vaccines. We
Okay,
did.
yeah.
We kind of got off the rails real quick. Mike Clevenger, just wanted to bring him up. Mike Clevenger, that trade is looking real brutal right now. They gave up a ton of talent. Them being the Padres, they did sign a two-year deal, $11.5 million. That buys out the last 2 years of his arbitration, and then he's going for Tommy John surgery. He will miss all of next season and hopefully come back for the 2022 season. What are your thoughts on that?
At first I toyed around with the idea, well, maybe San Diego knew something was up. That's why you didn't see the top tier talent go. And then I started looking at the talent that did go. And I mean, we're talking I mean, they pretty much took a lot of pieces out of that top 10. And a couple of those guys are pretty good. And Cleveland has a really good ability at developing pitchers like no other team in baseball. I mean, I think I wouldn't want to trade with the Rays, but I wouldn't want to trade a pitcher to Cleveland just because I don't think that's going to look very good for me on the back end of that when they reach the majors. So San Diego kind of had that feel like they were going to go for it all. I think this sets them back because you need Clevenger in that rotation, especially going into next year. Do you trust Mackenzie Gore to finally break through and ascend to the main roster? I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions. Chris Paddock, the sheriff or whatever the hell he calls himself, I haven't been overly impressed with him. Den Denilson, God, I forget his last name.
Met,
Lamette.
the Met.
Yep, Lamette. I mean, he had a good year, but he walks too many guys. He's always putting guys on base.
I think this throws a perfect curveball to all those 1 year type pitchers, the Taiwan Walkers, the Charlie Mortons. I think one of those guys ends up in San Diego now with this news for 1 year, maybe two. and give Clevenger time to heal to come back in the 22 season.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the Padres are built for the
Loaded,
long term.
loaded.
Yep. Yep, they're going to be good for a long time.
Speaking of injury, Eduardo Rodriguez, who missed all of 2020 with COVID complications, I believe it ended up being a heart condition. He went through it last year. Thoughts and prayers go out to him. He says he expects to be 100% next year. And God knows the Red Sox could use him. Looking at their current depth chart, Eovaldi, Rodriguez, Tanner Hook, Nick Pavetta, and Chris Mazza are their starting five.
Uh, that's that's brutal. I know they get Chris Sale back in 2022, so maybe they look long term. To me, I worry about Rodriguez because we still don't know the long term effects of COVID. I mean, I know people, and Henry, I know you've talked about it. You are still feeling some of the after effects of it.
I still can't smell.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee you ever will be able to smell again because there's no study on this. We don't know the long-term effects. I mean, even Fauci came out today and said we're starting to see this new thing called COVID syndrome, where patients, 20 to 30% of people that have had COVID may never get back to normal, or may take 2 weeks, it may take months, it may take years. So one of the big things we know, especially with a heart condition, is just the fatigue. The blood flow supplies your body with oxygen, which restores your muscles' ability to move. Your muscles need new blood with oxygenated blood. So if he has any issues with that, just the normal fatigue, I mean, he may have to move to the bullpen, which means they still need a starting rotation. I know his life is way more important than baseball, but there are some complications here that it may not be out of the woods yet with that.
You kind of stole my thunder because I was going to suggest that I think for his health, I think he's better off in the bullpen. The old adage, baseball's a marathon and not a sprint. And that's there for a reason. 162 games over 8 months. It's long. It's grueling. The summer. There's a lot, and I think for his health, if he wants to be a major league baseball player, they probably would benefit from him being in the bullpen and saving him from himself.
Yeah, I think they have to make that call. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah. So let's touch on this real quick. So there's two guys that I had for boneheaded people of the week. One was Robinson Cano. How fucking stupid can you be?
Pretty damn stupid.
This guy got banged in 2018, and I believed him because at the time, what he got banged for, he had an exemption the previous seasons before. He just didn't renew the exemption. So for me, I gave him a pass for that. Then what did he get? But he got busted for Stanzenol, was it? I
I,
can't remember.
I, it was definitely PEDs.
Yeah, he got busted for PEDs. Sandy Alderson said, "Look, we're cooperating with baseball. This dude, he fucked up." Robinson Cano, man, how far did this dude start fall? You talk about him signing that 10-year deal in 2014. He was on trajectory to, top two, top three second baseman all time. Yankee Stadium was built for that dude. Had he stayed with the Yankees, his career probably takes a completely different turn, and we still probably talking about him in the Hall of Fame caliber now. We're going to forget about him. He's not going to get paid next year. He's not going to be on the team next year. What happens with Robinson Cano? What is he?
Hopefully, he's not in baseball in 2022, because now you start questioning, like, okay, was this past season just a product of PEDs? Because I mean
Good point.
that's yeah. How do you not start? How does your mind not go to that? So with the Mets, I think it obviously benefits the Mets because this
Big
may
time.
save them from an awful contract. And if they can find, if there's an out in that contract, let's say breach of contract, and I'm sure there's some language in there that they can kind of look under and see, okay, this is not, you didn't, you breached your contract with us. I'm sure they'll try to dump him in a heartbeat. But yeah, man, it's bad for Robinson Cano. I mean, Hall of Fame. We've seen what happens when you test positive once,
Yep.
for Hall of Fame candidates. We've seen what happens if your name is just mentioned. in
Unless
that
your
circle.
unless your name is Nelson Cruz, who some or David Ortiz. Those two guys seem to just fly under the radar.
I have a strong hatred for David Ortiz.
You
That
ain't the only
motherfucker.
one, brother.
Oh my God.
So Nelson Cruz's credit though, he has bounced back and he has been super productive since what 4 or 5 years since.
Yep.
But you can't forget him that he got banged. And but him and Ortiz, man, those guys fly under the radar when we talk about this.
Yeah, and I'll always go this, man. The science is always ahead of the tests. You know, there's some cutting edge performance enhancing stuff out there that these tests just are not equipped to catch. And the players will never, ever, ever allow you to take a blood test.
Yeah,
That's never going to happen in any professional sport. Because if they find out you have a genetic disorder, your
yeah,
value's done. So,
absolutely.
and that's going to be a lot of the ways how they catch these. And I don't think they're going to be able to. So I think it's highly possible that a lot more guys are cheating, but they just can't catch up to it.
Melvin Beltray never got busted for PEDs. Get out of here. Yeah, but like you said, the Mets are saving $24 million this year, which Cohen could probably use to re-sign a Michael Conforto. That's probably the best thing to come out of that trade, man. They got Edwin Diaz, who shit the bed for 2 seasons. They gave up one of their best prospects in Jarrett Kelenic, which you mentioned that in the kid's name, and Mets fans just shudder. You took back Cano, you took back salary, so this is probably the best thing to come from that deal yet.
Yeah, and that Seattle outfield is going to be really freaking scary in a couple of years. So I'm sure they're thankful
Kelenic
that the
looks like
Mets.
a no hit. This kid is going to be he's gonna hit. I don't have any doubt that this kid is going to be a star in the league.
Well, even defensively, he's really good.
And then the M's will trade him because that's what they
Well,
do.
they may lose him to free agency because they can't keep homegrown talent. Griffey, A. Rod, Randy Johnson.
Tino Martinez.
That's another one.
So that's one boonhead of the week. The other one, I'll let you do the honors.
I mean, I got three of them in my pocket for the same organization. So let's just go ahead and hit it. Here we go. Tony LaRussa, DUI, back in February, got charged. How the hell were the White Sox not aware that this was going to come out the day after they made the stupid
The
ass
next
announcement
day.
of? Uh, I mean, just be ahead of it. Talk about it. Just like, hey, you know what? This is going to come out. We know it's pending. So, maybe they want the legal process to play out. But shit, man, then do the news conference after it's announced.
Yeah, that was bad, man.
Yeah, and this is second one. Granted, it's 10 years apart. Do I think Tony La Russa has an alcohol problem? The dude's 70, 76 years old. Why the hell does he even want to manage baseball? And then Jerry, you got to be smarter than this, man. You had to do an investigation. You had to know this shit was coming. Wait for the news to break. But then, you know what? You hear other news. Jerry Reinsdorf bitching about, oh, guess what, guys? We lost $100 million last year.
Go
The
figure.
Chicago, yeah, the Chicago White Sox. Let that sink in. Somehow they lost $100 million last year because he said they didn't have fans in attendance. Have you guys seen White Sox games? I mean, you could get a seat anywhere in that stadium. You lost $100 million from the 20 fans that attend the games. Get the fuck out of here.
Matt, you did not disappoint. I gave you a meatball and you did what you're supposed to do with the meatball, baby.
There's a swell of anger, and trust me, we've talked about it. You have helped me cope with the Tony La Russa hiring
I
because
still like it.
it could turn out great,
I still
but
like the hire.
to me, is the risk going to be worth this reward?
I think so. I think so. Again, the timing is awful. I think you have to let. I don't know what. Look, I don't know what you do there if you're the White Sox. Honestly, I don't know if you let the DUI news hit and then you resign him because that looks bad too.
I,
I don't know what you do there. I don't know the details of the DUI, but it's just a really really bad look.
well, I'll tell you one thing. If they go to Iowa, that Field of Dreams game, and he ends up in a cornfield with the DUI, I'm going to lose my shit.
Hey, like you said, this the Field of Dreams games. It's going to be what August 12th, 2021. It was just rescheduled today, and the cards got bumped because who the fuck wants to see the Cardinals? And insert Chicago White Sox, insert drunken white manager, and insert the Yankees and the White Sox in Iowa, probably the most Latinos that will be in Iowa for that weekend, and we're gonna have the Field of Dreams game. That's what it's gonna be. They're gonna market Aaron Judge, and they're gonna market, my man Robert, and people in Iowa are gonna be like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
There's going to be a lot of Karens clutching their pearls when that comes around.
You're gonna need a 76-year-old drunk white guy to make sure everything's okay. I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. But I'm glad they got rid of the cards. Look, good team or not, the cards are just boring, man.
Not a lot there to get excited about because it's just a bunch of white corn dudes. I hate to say it, but it's just you got some guys there. Maybe Dexter Fowler's kind of cool, but
Yachty
his
is cool.
career,
Yachty is cool. I mean, his act runs, gets a little old, but
yeah, Yachty. I mean, he's like the epitome of this unwritten rule book. But he can break them, but don't you dare use that against him. You don't pimp a
I
home run.
will not talk shit about Yadier Molina because there's some rumors that he may end up on the Yankees. I doubt it, but I won't say a word. Look, Carlos Correa already broke my heart. Anybody from Team Puerto Rico is breaking my heart. So you leave my Puerto Rican guys alone, man.
Yeah, well, I like the other Molinas better.
You know when it's funny you said that not too long ago. They had the special on the Molinas when his dad died. How they carried his casket. They had it on the field in Puerto Rico, and they carried his casket around the bases. And I thought that was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
I don't know a better way to honor someone than that way. Family, just a family of catchers, and that's how they honored their dad. They carried his casket around the diamond. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think when I think of Latino baseball family dynasties, it's got to be the Molinas and the Alus.
Yeah.
Those are the first two that come to my mind, and that's really cool that the Molinas did that. I thought that's the shit right there.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, the Mets manager, what's his name? Mets manager, his name escapes me. Luis Rojas. He's actually an Alu.
Really?
Yeah, he is. He's an Alu. He just does not carry the last name. I believe Rojas is his mother's name, but that is Alu. He's an Alu.
Yeah, I'm getting some blowback from the from guys with the Alomar family. I don't. Sandy was good. Sandy Jr. was okay. Um,
Alomar family is a good one. I mean, Roberto could spit at umpires like nobody.
I mean, could you imagine Roberto now spitting at
Oh my
umpires?
god, forget it. It's just COVID. Just, just yeah. But Luis Rojas, he is an Alu. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
I
one
like the Alus.
yeah one more thing before we wrap up. Just came down that the Rays are interested in trading Blake Snell. What are your thoughts on that?
If I'm the White Sox, I'm trying to get them. It may turn out bad for you in a couple of years, but you got to fill out that rotation. I like Blake Snell. I kind of like his attitude of wanting the ball. I thought when Cash took him out, it really it wasn't a good move because sometimes you have to have that intuition of feeling like, okay, my guy can go. So I think Snell would be better off in a different environment. I'll be interested to see where he goes. I think he's worthy of taking a chance on him.
Yeah, I love Snell. I love his stuff. I love his makeup. There's just something about him that the third time through the lineup is a little rough for him. But those are the things that I think this analytic age doesn't work through. Instead of working through that and teaching them how to get through the third time in the lineup, they coddle them and they baby them and they get them out of there for a flamethrower reliever. With that said, a guy like Blake Snell's on the market. Every team should be on that ass. The problem with that is it's the Tampa Bay Rays trading him. And if you trade with the Rays, you kind of know that you're taking an L up front. There's something about trading with the Rays that just doesn't work well. So that would kind of turn me off a little bit. If you believe in your scouts and your pitching philosophy, and that's your guy, I think you go get him, whoever you are.
Yeah, I think when you trade with the Rays, depending on who you're acquiring, you have to accept that whoever they're asking for, they know something about that player that you probably do not know.
Yep.
So you just kind of have to bite the bullet and like, okay, this is a now move. This is not a year from now move. And you just kind of have to swallow that pill when it comes.
Yep. I totally agree. You know, but like I said, those arms don't grow on trees, man. if you're a team and you're looking to fill a hole, San Diego, do they give up any more of that young talent and go for a Blake Snell? How many pitchers can you have? But I think if you're a team like, say, the Braves, if you're a team like the Nationals, you know, but if you're one of those guys, maybe you go and get Snell and you pay the cost in terms of prospects that it'll cost you.
I'm going to throw out the Angels because if they can somehow get Bauer and then land Snell in a trade, because the Angels have a log jam in the outfield. I mean, they've got too many guys out there that can't play. Maybe that will entice the Rays to do a deal. And that, Bauer, Snell, Otani, that's kind of a development of a nice rotation right there.
Hmm. I like it, and like I said, I think I'm gonna stick with the Braves. I think the Braves should go get him.
I like that. White Sox, go get Blake Snell.
You want everybody, man. You're starting to be a Yankee fan, like.
I just want one more championship. After 2005, I thought I would be okay. I'm like, oh, I can die happy now. Man, no, screw that. I want them all.
All right, well, I get it. I get it. Look, I'm a Yankee fan. I got to deal with some of the bad Yankee fans that come with the good ones, so I get it. Well, with that, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. It's 8 o'clock. We're exactly an hour. That's not bad. Next week, Vince will be back sitting in the host chair. I'll let him do his thing. Matt, thank you for joining us, brother. I appreciate it for our 40th show. The Audible is
Tomorrow night, same time, 7 o'clock. And boy, there are some things to talk about in the NFL, Henry.
yes, sir.
78 players on the COVID list this week.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. You could talk about the 49ers Gatorade Month's comeback, baby.
Oh, yeah, it's coming. I feel it.
We just need a quarterback. So,
So
yeah.
do 20 other teams.
Yeah. Tune into the Audible tomorrow night. If you're not in football life, get your ass in football life. Wednesday, the Step Back Podcast, best basketball podcast around. Jacob Anthony Moses, Leon Tompkins. Wednesday, 8 p.m. If you're not in Baller's Life, get your ass in Baller's Life. Fight with me that LeBron James is not the GOAT. I say he is. That's a conversation we have every week. Get your ass in Baller's Life. Get your ass in football life. Henry Maldonado, Rob Martinez in the background. Matt, thank you for joining us. See you guys next week. And you know what it is. Donk City, bitches.